Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. I'm going to be showcasing a meme Kraken build that was requested in the comment section from Arctic Helix. What about the Mighty Kraken? Gonna roll this into a more general uh, damage amp talk for those of you that are more interested in, say, higher tier content, um, and why the meta builds revolve so heavily around um, like viral setups. If you're looking at, uh, say, like a level cap disruption run, you will be running viral on whatever your kill weapon is. But first, the meme build. Tons of damage, viral. The weapon is innately heat, though we're not going to be taking advantage of that right now. I was running a corrosive heat build on it just for general star chart running. Going to be using Deadhead. Highly recommend if you have it, Prime Pistol aiming mutation, because this thing loves to chug ammo. Not even using the Riven, even though it's starting to get a pretty good Riven dispo now. Gonna shred, get our bullet attractor, swap over to the Kraken. Alright, we're all stacked up. Not too bad. 400k on yellows, 300ks, say quarter mil a shot. It's not even a 60%. Not that any of the Kuba weapons need it. The meme build, if you're actually thinking about running this for like a cap run, honestly, I'd highly recommend running Pistolier. The gimmick behind this weapon is that it's burst fire, and then the alt fire, center mouse button, I don't know what it is on controller, is when you hit the alt fire, it unloads the rest of the clip, forces the reload. Pretty simple. This would actually be pretty potent on like an invisibility frame. Because the combo that we're running arcane wise is Arcane Pistolier and Arcane Awakening, which gives us bonus damage to pistols. 60% chance on reload. We're going to be doing that a bunch. To be honest, these kind of interfere with each other a little bit because of the ammo efficiency. But it's not too bad. But it's just to get the damage up. So one more time. Full strip. Swap over. $537, 600. Yeah, 609k is what we're topping out at. But keep in mind, when you alt fire, you're going to be getting quarter mil to 600k bullets over a 21 shot clip. So let's just say 250k times 21 for 5.25 million, which is pretty good. But the reason why we take Pistolier on this is when you get a headshot with the arcane, and this is an arbitration. An arbitration arcane. and we're using the bullet attractor for the headshots to make the headshots significantly easier, is now, if you notice, instead of having a single magazine or a triple burst shot, my burst shot is now the entire magazine. So if you wanted, I guess, more consistent damage where they don't interfere, you could do velocity also on critical hit. Go ahead and load these guys up. Get our bullet attractor going, swap over for the good stuff. And in that quick burst is 5 million damage. So if you got velocity up and you got the pistolier off of a trash mob, you would just be able to spam 5 million damage really quick. And doesn't even require a ribbon. So let's make this a little more educational besides a meme build, right? Let's talk about where the damage is coming from. Because I was seeing some comments in the last one. Some people took it a little too seriously. But talking about why the damage jumps so much. Because if I were to swap this over to, say, like a corrosive. Oh, pardon. Like a corrosive build, the damage would disappear. And it has to do with how viral interacts. See, we're still getting pretty high damage. Just based on the crit. And right now the crit's carrying us. $200k, seeing 300 reds. But you can tell that the damage went way down. I mean, as I'm hitting 400k, right? But you can tell that the damage went way down. So the difference is let's actually look at, let's say for nice round numbers, right? So we were getting what? 409. And the other one was like 617, I think. So it's about 2/3. The extra damage, or I guess in this case it would be like about a 50% increase. Because if you're going the other way, you would have to flip the fraction, right? It would be about a 50% increase. It's actually the viral damage being dealt against its enemy type, where it's weak to it. So if you look on this, the armor is weak to corrosive, right? Well, when you deal the if you deal the damage type that is super strong against cloned flesh, which is why you should always be stripping your Demolus. We want them nice and naked. Nobody gets to be modest here. They don't get any defenses. And you deal what is strongest against their stripped damage type, or their stripped weakness, and you min-max for that. And this is what allows you to do level cap Demolist runs easier. Even incredibly high scalings, it's still going to be a bit of an issue. But when you see the super high damage numbers, or you're seeing people running like damage cap setups, generally this is one of the core multipliers that you'll see on builds that allows weapons to deal insane amounts of damage. Like, say for example, if I were to load up the Fel Arcs, which is the current go-to darling. So like this one's corrosive, right? Hold on, I gotta have a regular one. Okay, viral. Let's load in our rude boys. Right, so they're nice and naked. 350k, 500k, 173. Okay, so now we're doing 4 mil, 6 mil, 300k, 10 mil, 1.6, 2.8, couple million, another 10 mil. The thing that is, besides the multiplier from the Incarnon bonus, the thing that is allowing me to do so much damage is because I'm dealing viral against health damage. If you, just to test this out, when you go into the simulacrum and you're trying to figure out like a meme build or something, generally you have to take advantage of damage, like armor stripping, right? There aren't too many pure defense strip abilities, which is actually one of the reasons why you see me taking this guy so much, is it's actually a debuff, and he'll strip armor and shields. Not overguard, but he'll strip armor and shields. So that's why you always see me testing with him in the simulacrum. So I can just run up, strip the armor and shields, see what the damage to health is, so I can test for like a Demolist setup or something, right? So if you're building weapons, don't even bother building to deal with their defense. You should be stripping it anyway. If you want to deal with anything that's not a Demolist, you'd literally just take another weapon, or you use your melee, and then you'd run like dexterity or something, so you always have the stacks built up, right? And it would allow you to swap, but then you'd have to worry about keeping your galvanized hell and your galvanized savvy stacks up, right? So that's where the damage is coming from. And then you have the other half of it, right? We're doing Deadhead, which is a 30% headshot multiplier. And the reason why you're going to see this generally, and you're going to have to learn how to aim. I understand it's Warframe, AoE is king, but if you really want to do tons of damage to like a single thing, in disruption runs, we're not worried about kills per second like in survivals, right? You want to be able to, instead of mowing down a ton of enemies, you want to be absolutely blast a single enemy. Most of the time in higher level disruptions, let's be honest, you're either running around invisible or you're running around an operator. And that's kind of the gameplay style, right? So you'll get the headshot on a crit-based weapon. You'll make sure to get a critical headshot, because headshots deal 3 times damage, whatever you're doing, and it does apply to the galvanized or the Incarnon bonus on the Fel Arcs. And if you crit, you get an additional 2x multiplier on top of your crit. So when you see somebody doing like a meme build video and they're hitting like damage cap on like headshots and stuff like that, right? That's where the extra multipliers are coming from. So you get whatever your critical damage is. So say you hit something for 100 damage and it's a crit damage, or 100 damage without a crit. You get a headshot, it turns into 300. But say you crit, the 3 times damage is stored, but now you get the critical damage multiplier on it. And then on top of all of that, you get a 2x multiplier. So the 3x headshot multiplier turns into a 6x, and then it gets multiplied by your critical multiplier on top of that. And so that's where the multipliers are coming from, is you start adding really crazy numbers together and amping the damage really high. So that's what you're seeing with the, like, say the Seer build. I saw some people talking about like whether it's a legit build. I mean, you could level cap with it, like 3 billion unprimed seer shot. Like I tried it in the simulacrum right afterwards, and I was priming stuff, and I was getting like 15 million with like actual priming and whatnot. Like you can't be mad at it. 15 million's good damage. Um, and okay, so what was the other one? I'm gonna rapid fire. Now that that's been explained, I know 15 minutes, right? I'm gotten really behind on comments. Um, Let me rapid fire this. Dark Dagger on Hildren is super good. Um, if you're doing the Argonac thing, my heart goes out to you. It's really painful. Um, I would honestly highly recommend just going for an electric build. Um, and do like a viral electric. Reason being is you're going to be stripping the armor anyway. And even though gas can be like have really memey, jokingly high damage in some cases, the issue is the Dark Dagger doesn't really have unless you sacrifice stuff, and Hildren doesn't really synergize too well with it. Unless you sacrifice stuff, it's going to be pretty difficult to get red crits on the Dark Dagger, the Rock to Dark Dagger. Okay, um, to really because one of the like gas is really strong on crit weapons. But you have to be able to strip, which the Argonac's going to help you with. And to be honest, you can build the Argonac as a primer. You're going to have to use like a bullet hose mentality with it, right? But you can 100% use the Argonac as a primer. Just make sure to get the fire rate up, because I don't think its status chance is too high. Let me actually see what it is. I've got one of those. Okay, yeah, I was messing around with it. Let's see what its base is. Yeah, 19%. You couldn't get too much for this. You would just build it for statuses that you just don't already have, and you would just build like just for status, right? So if you're not running a Panzer, this becomes viral heat, right? Um, and then you put like corrosive on the weapon. If you want to do that, or you would do actually you could do viral heat on this, and then do like viral electric on the Rock to Dark Dagger, and that would be a pretty solid combo because then you would have the panic from the heat. You're stripping it anyway, so who cares about armor? And you would have 10 stacks of viral ready to go, right? Um, so yeah, just build it for the bullet hose. It's got a decent magazine. It's 43. Like it's definitely not in the bullet hose category. Um, but its ammo pickup is twice that of what the magazine is, so it's not going to have ammo issues at all. Okay, so moving on, solid. Oh, also keep in mind, the Rock to Dark Dagger is really good on Harrow. So keep that in mind. And if you like the combination, what is it? Stinging Thorn. Yeah, Stinging Thorn. Has some pretty easy to hit headshots. Obviously, you didn't ask all of that, but if you're doing the Harrow meme, headshots count way more, and that'll give you the red crits, right? I sound like Jeff Ross when he's high. I had to Google this guy, and yeah, okay, you got me, dude. Is the Felarx build also for Archon, or if not, what do I change? Okay, the one-shot Felarx build is part of the reason, and somebody else brought it up. They're like, oh, blah blah blah, best in slot. Um, Okay, let's see. Not that guy. Point blank. And I think this, yeah, this is what I've been running to one shot the Archon. Is radiation, viral. The Archon's weak to viral. Its armor is. Its health is weak to viral. Just running this is a super expensive build. If you don't want to run this, I completely understand. But it's just what I'm running. If you want even more damage, you can drop Blaze in. Give you a little extra weighting on radiation. Bumps the flat damage up a whole lot. But the weapon does so well as is. When you're going in, just make sure to grab a couple of headshots. I like acceleration. It's not necessarily needed. But if you look at the fall off, 14 is pretty close. But if you get this stacked up, it practically doubles your fall off range, right? So instead of being 14, you won't get fall off until almost 28. It adds 90%, right? Because fall off is like follow through for melee. This is how they keep the high alpha damage of shotguns in check. One of the other ways you could also, if you're like for say flexible build wise, is like vigilante armaments here would be pretty good. But this is the build that I've been using to one tap the Archons. So I'll wait a second on that. All right, easy enough. Is Zada better than Roar on the Felarx build? Okay, this is actually kind of ooh. In terms of the Felarx, Zada is better than Roar. There is some nuance to this. For the Incarnon weapons, Zada is always better than Roar. But it's because of what I can only assume is a glitched interaction where the Incarnon bonus, the multiplicative bonus, can apply twice. So if you're running like a really high power strength Zada helmet, because remember Zada Whisper is like its own damage source, like it's an extra source of damage. So when you shoot, you'll see 2 damage numbers. But because the second damage is dependent on the first one, it's a straight multiplier, right? The Incarnon multiplicative bonus has the potential to trigger twice. So on the first damage source, which will boost the Zada damage, and then the bonus can apply again because it was sourced from the same weapon, right? Because of that, because those 2 numbers multiply together, it ends up being like 21 times 21. So you have like a 25% chance of literally one-shotting whatever the hell you're trying to shoot. Because it's somewhat easy with the Felarx. Like you saw me hitting for like 10 million, right? That wasn't even all of the pellets registering. And that was one multiplier. If I were to use Zada, which I wasn't in that circumstance, it would then multiply the damage by 21 again. So I would hit something for like 230 million. So for the Incarnon, the answer is exclusively yes. If you are doing regular star chart stuff, it's important on like the Latum. Because the Latum, if they ever fix the Incarnon interaction with Zada, then Roar would be better. but because of the way it interacts with the Incarnon weapons, Zada is always better with the Incarnon weapons. With that one specific, the 50% for 2,000% damage, because it's multiplicative. 2-minute video, yeah. Let's see. Oh, this guy took it a little seriously. Hold on, let me interact. Let me open this up. The meme video with the seer. While this is a fantastic video and does prove the seer is better than 85% of people think it is, I feel it might be misleading to newer players. I think it's kind of a meme video, and people understand that. But to be honest, because of this person's response, that's part of the reason why I did the Kraken, which somebody else joked about. But just explaining the armor strip, and this guy brought it up. If you shoot something that doesn't have any armor and you shoot it with a weapon that has viral on it, your damage is going to go way up. Armor is very important part of most units' EHP or effective health points, meaning the amount of mathematical damage needed to kill them. Yeah, true. Armor is too complex for me to explain here, but it's the sole reason that Slash is good. Yeah, bypasses armor. What's that? Yeah, okay. Slash procs ignore armor. Yeah, technically the Grenier are resistant to Slash, but because it bypasses armor, it's just so effective. And then he offered like different builds. I think it was just a meme build. I think people got it. I mean, the guy's right though. Like obviously harder hitting. The Cycron, if you value not having to pick up ammo, I think the Cycron is a good alternative. But I think just the Sea-Doo, the Epitaph, the new core are just so strong at priming. I think the Cycron doesn't rise to meet the occasion. And that's just kind of me. But the fact that it's a battery and you never have to worry. He didn't mention it, but he's talking about the Tenet Cycron where you can add the element to it with a progenitor. I've used the Cycron on its own just for like a heat inherit. I even have one. The damage is dumb on its own. Yeah, 44% heat. I think this is entirely heat. Oh, I did radiation. Let's see. I needed that. Yeah, pure and simple with Cascadia empowered. Let's do... I think the damage is high enough with it. Right? $50K, $40K, and it's got the little AoE chains that come out. Okay, whatever that was. Make sure to equip punch through on it. Yeah, I don't even think I have a faction mod on here. Let me see if I do. Yeah, don't even have a faction. This would do way more. Oh wow, I don't even have... Technically, galvanized shot would be the best in slot. Alright, let's see what we can get. Yeah, the damage went up. Probably mostly because of the faction mod. 128k. Yeah, the weapons... I wouldn't say it's really good for, like, survivals. But honestly, I would say the Cycron's good enough for, like, level cap. Like, 128k heat tick is gonna kill something. Let's see what else. How do you... power... The power strength cubes? Oh, it's armor. Guy was asking about the... I have it equipped on Nezha, because it interacts with this shield. Yeah, these guys. Pick up health orbs. Right. Now we got the little yellow dudes. Because the blue one is for the power strength. The red or the orange ones are for armor, and you can stack up to 3 of them. Really good choice on Nezha, because it's a lot of armor, and you're constantly picking up health orbs because of his 2, right? And because of the health orbs from the synth set on the Panzer, which you should be running. You can keep them up pretty good, because there's actually a duration. They don't disappear instantly if you get health damage. You can actually maintain them pretty easily. So you're just running around with like an extra, what, 1450 armor. Let's see. Fenmore. What's my take on the Fenmore versus Felarx? They're both busted. They're both busted. Either one. Both of them do level cap. I've done level cap with both of them. They're both busted as shit. In the one... I posted the VOD of it, I think. I was having issues killing the Demolist at the end. Only because we were running as a squad of 4. And the one guy that we had, Blago, was running a Being Chilling Mag. And was full stripping to kill the Demolist. And I was modded for corrosive, because my build was based on the shots chaining to trash clear, and to build up and get the Incarnon bonus stacked up repeatedly. Doesn't work anymore, nor does Being Chilling. Big rip. But they're both busted. Okay, so you saw the level cap build for the Felarx. Fenmore needs less than nothing. You have so much extra space. There's 2 main ways you can build this. I would say build for Merciless, honestly. I know it's going to be an issue with it falling off. One of the ways you can do it is you need Galvanized Chamber, obviously. Galvanized Aptitude, obviously. I did Shred, but just pick whatever fire rate mod you got here. Your faction mod. Fast Hands makes the reload and swapping significantly faster. I did Serration, and this isn't even like a min-maxed build. If you really wanted to hammer this, honestly, I know this is going to sound kind of mean, but you would actually just get rid of this for the alt shot and the hammer shot. And what you would do is you would actually throw this on like this. Because killing Demolist, they straight up ignore radiation, right? So it's like the element doesn't exist on your weapon. You cannot rad proc a Demolist. So this would be a Demolist killing build. Because on the alt fire, it's slash and radiation only. So where you're thinking normally, oh, I have to balance procs, you don't give a shit on this. Radiation can exist in any amount on here, and you just need the base damage. And also, this would be another one of those weapons where you need, if you do have a Riven for it, you would need the negative crit chance. But just something like this with a Zada's build is going to melt. It's going to melt. Especially if you're stripping. So, run radiation. Demolists don't care about it. So, the alt fire, where you look at this and you go, oh, it's slash radiation. As far as a Demolist is concerned, this weapon is pure slash. And no, it isn't really set anywhere. It might have been added to the Wikipedia, but like a couple months ago, the last time I looked at it, it wasn't there. And you literally only would have found it through testing. So this would be one of the ways you could kill Demolist, and I'll show you that. A normal build. If you're trying to do... And this guy has Zadas. We'll swap over. And still, it's radiation. Yeah, hitting for 100k. They're not even weak against it. Let's do a Demolist. Actually, I am going to turn the game audio down so y'all don't go deaf. 1 second. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to shoot this guy a couple times. If you notice, no rad procs. Yeah, pretty tasty damage. And that would just be that's how the Fenmore does. Pretty basic. I like the shred because of the interaction where you're shooting through enemies with Zadas, and if it bumps into an enemy, the orbiting, right? The Zadas can re-trigger, and the Incarnon bonus can re-trigger. So it helps out tremendously with trash clearing. But this weapon just doesn't need that much. I've seen meme builds where people have just put galvanized aptitude on and chamber and a faction mod, and they were able to do level cap just based on the power of the bonuses of the weapon alone. So it's the 50% chance to deal 2000% damage to non-critical hits. That's what's carrying the weapon. And the interaction with Zadas, where it gets the bonus, right? So I hope that answers your question. The Fenmore feels better for clearing trash mobs. And I like the Gatling style. It's pure personal preference. I like the Fenmore more. But admittedly, the Fel Arcs for that one shot, it feels so good going up against a level cap Demolist. Having it come around the corner, you strip it, hit it with your secondary like 2-3 times, to prime it, and you swap to the Fel Arcs and just blow the bastard away. It feels so good. And the Fel Arcs can do that pretty easily. Like, even like the, was it the Noxious Demolist or whatever? The upgraded one, it doesn't even matter. They die. So, and Sauce was right. Blood for ammo, I know that works on the Fel Arcs. I don't think that would work for the Fenmore. But Bloodforge is right. If you're willing to time it, because the Fel Arcs, one of the bonuses you're going to be taking is the fire rate based on reload. You can permanently keep the fire rate buff if you use Bloodforge on Garuda. You won't reset the buff, provided you reload using Bloodforge, which is the augment for her 3, where she bloodlets to get energy back, sacrifices health to get energy back. You can reload at the same time, and it won't interrupt the fire rate bonus, so it's pretty nice. And he's right, yeah. Or she, I don't know. It's a Deadpool icon, Sauce. And it would free up a mod slot where you wouldn't have to reload. Actually, to be honest, you could probably go more magazine and end up even better off if you wanted to do that, if you were running Garuda. But that's like a simple case, or a single case, right? Miro Bedard. Talking about the Fel Arcs. Okay, is minus neg CC that good? I basically responded, it's not that it's inherently a big damage bonus, even though it is a damage bonus, right? It's more about the fact that the weapon can potentially have 4 positives on it. Because the Riven dispos, for example, when you see like the weighting, when it's like, oh, this Riven has like a 0.5 dispo, or this weapon has like a 1.0 dispo, or like a 1.48, right? Something like the Amphis, is basically a power gating of how many mods that Riven can take up. So for a low dispo weapon, if you have a Riven for it, like the Fel Arcs or the Fenmore or the Latum, and it's minus CC, it basically adds 50% of how strong the weapon is. Because the negative is just going to be the negative, right? But the negative can be more negative the higher the dispo is, which is really important when like trying to remove an IPS, physical damage status, off of a weapon. So like say you have a weapon like the Spectra Vandal, right? A minus puncture roll is super important on that. Or say like the Fang Prime, a minus puncture roll is super important on that weapon, right? So when you have a weapon where a negative can actually make or break the Riven, because you can't get a negative to an IPS on anything other than a Riven. It's like the equivalent of like an Archwing gun having a Riven and getting faction mods on it, or getting a faction bonus damage on it. It's only important because the mods don't exist. If we had a minus crit chance mod elsewhere in the game, nobody would give a shit about minus crit chance on the Incarnon weapons, right? So it's just the fact of like the fact that you can remove a stat that hurts you, and eventually if you rolled it a while ago, you could have gotten enough crit chance to remove, or enough negative crit chance to remove crit off your weapon. I wasn't lucky enough to do that. I unveiled the Fel Arcs Riven after they adjusted it. So it's more about getting a weapon that's really low dispo, having 3 positives on it for the price of 2, and would allow you to run like a +2 -1 Riven, which is significantly better for a 0.5 dispo because it gets the numbers higher, and it would make it almost like a full dispo 3 positive, right, with a throwaway negative. So it's more about the fact that you can get 3 or 4 positives potentially on a Riven. Do I think the Zerman weapons will get a nerf soon, and what would it be? I'm thinking the passives, great vid. They're going to go after... Actually, if they... There's going to be 2 things. They're either going to go straight after the passives, and Funky Cat is right, reducing the evolution damage. What they will probably do, and my thinking behind it is the fact that they went after Chroma's... the Bing Chilling Chroma, right? His bonus damage. I think they're going to go after the damage interaction on Zada's. If they get rid of the bonus damage and that multiplicative interaction with Zada's Whisper, the Latum, for example, does more damage if it doesn't have access to the Incarnon interaction with Zada's. If you do the base damage increase 1, if you're running a crit build, because it boosts the damage back and forth, right? And it's level cap capable on its own. And more importantly, it doesn't require a kill. It just requires you hitting the enemy with a bullet that doesn't have status and doesn't crit. So you don't want to go over 100% crit. So you would want like where normally you would want like a crit chance multi-shot crit damage driven, you would want like a fire rate multi-shot crit damage driven. So it would change a little bit. But because of the Zada's interaction, it's so heavily in favored because of that. I'm pretty sure they're going to go after the Zada interaction before they touch the Incarnons. And if they're having trouble because of like spaghetti code, I could see them just going after the Incarnon bonuses. If they're having trouble with the Zada's Whisper interaction with the Incarnon bonus damage. So I hope that helps. Favorite primary. What about the Mighty Kraken? Arctic Helix. You have your build, sir. Sound like an old farmer. Okay. Will a heavy always out damage a normal melee attack? Okay. A heavy attack build. Particle asked, will a heavy attack build always out damage a normal melee attack build? It depends. If you're doing something like, say, killing a Demolist, which is like the late game thing to kill, in terms of like what's the hardest thing to kill in the game, heavy attacks are phenomenal against that because you're killing one enemy. But if you're doing any sort of like generic mission running, you want quick attack. So in terms of like out damaging, and I probably should have specified this. I mean, I said it, heavies are for massive punch in an instant. Combo quick attack is for steady damage. The overall damage output is over time is always going to be in favor of the quick attack build. Because you can stack multiple you can stack multiple statuses. That being said, like we now are getting more and more and more enemies where they're gating us on our damage by capping the number of statuses that we can apply. So say like the Phantasma, where it's like so heavily in favor of status application. An Acolyte doesn't give a shit. So there might be a time where heavy attack builds become meta if those types of enemies start becoming rampant, where you would want a big, massive hit all the time. And then the build that I showed, which is like an older build for getting quick combo and being able to like maximize the heavy attack, I could see those becoming more and more relevant. Because like say right now, unless you're doing like a cascade, would you really need right now a big high damage heavy attack more than like once every couple of minutes, right? Like maybe in Cascade where you have to kill Thrax all the time. But like if you're doing like a disruption run, you've got time to build up a heavy attack. Just naturally get a 12x combo. Yeah, disruptions, it's easy to keep your combo up. Survivals, it's obviously easy to keep your combo up. So like in most mission types, you're not going to have any issues getting your combo up. And because of multi-hit on weapons, it's really quick to get your combo up. My build was to just show like the people that really enjoy heavy attacks and seeing that high damage. That's a way to get your combo counter back faster. So you can spam them more, but I wouldn't say it's going to like completely negate the quick attack melee, right? To be honest, I'm a kind of a big fan. I know it's not very effective, but it's still pretty cool with the whole touch of death thing. You walk up, bam, you smack something, and then you see like seven digits go past, right? Boom, you smack something like 2-3 mil, it dies in one tick, but you're already like on the other side of the room, right? Like it feels cool. Particle ask, I got a 57 6% impact Kuvasir. Should I keep it or is there a better element? Man, that depends. It straight up depends. If you're running impact, it makes running hemorrhage feel pretty okay. But you would have to like heavily lean into the whole impact meme. I don't think it has a forced impact. Yeah, I don't think it has one. It might. Things change. Yeah, it does not. Yeah, I always try to hold my tongue on that because the Nagantaka has a forced impact, and that doesn't make any sense. But alas, here we are. Yeah, it doesn't have a forced impact. If you did go impact, one of the things you could do is you could run the was it the internal hemorrhage mod, the impact to slash mod? Is it hemorrhage or internal bleeding? Hemorrhage on pistols. You could run that, and you could potentially get a double proc. The only issue is you generally try to run those mods on weapons that have forced impact. And we can look at it. Right? Sorry for your ears. Sorry, headphone users. Right? It's not a forced impact. But the benefit is that this has multiple procs. So each time you shoot it, you get the initial hit. And then you get the AoE. And if you tried to min-max for impact being on it, maybe roll a Riven for it also, but get the impact up, you could potentially do like a viral slash build. And you would be able to build viral stacks really fast. Because if you had like an impact, actually, is it my other seer? No, it's radiation. Okay, yeah. So you would have to lean heavily into impact. But if you did impact and you kept it, because 56% is a phenomenal percentage, especially if it's your first lich for the seer, it would add impact on the radial. So with the hemorrhage mod, you could slot it on here and potentially trigger hemorrhage twice. So that would be what you're going for, and you would try to like stay away from anything else that screws up your IPS balance, and you would even run like stuff to further weight it. But you would stick to the faction mod. Like you wouldn't run any elements. Like this, you wouldn't even run this Riven because it would mess you up. Yeah, so don't try to self-prime with it because the hemorrhage and the internal bleeding are reliant on impact status effects. The actual impact status effect itself. So it has to trigger. There's no way to cheese it with like 100 munitions where you can just throw on a monster viral to get your raw damage up. You can't do that in this situation. Only if there's a forced impact on the weapon. So you would have to get impact procs also. But if you're running this, let's see. Okay. If you're running this, you would probably need a really high impact percentage. And you might even have to run impact mods also. Yeah, something just like a Saxum Spittle. And you could get high enough percentage. Well, actually, we can see, give or take what it is. I'm at like 44%. So if you had 60% impact, or say 44% impact, it would add 59 to this. And it would make it the highest weighted. Yeah, you would still need to run like a Saxum Spittle. But it would gain the benefit of having a bigger number to increase off of, right? Because it would be plus 90% of whatever the value is. But if you had impact on it, it would increase since you would have the progenitor bonus there also. So it would increase the effectiveness of the mod. So this would start feeling better, right? So I hope that helps. Yep, Hopa Awesomeness still hasn't replied. Might need a welfare check on him. I think that's good enough for now. The video's getting quite long. We're about to hit an hour. Oh god. Also, let me ask you guys this for those of you that got this far. Would it be interesting, even though it is loosely Warframe related, but one of the things that happens occasionally in the clan and the alliance is occasionally we'll have like pretty decently like philosophical conversations. What we were particularly talking about was whether AI could ever be sentient and like kind of replace humans. Because one of the guys got the AI program, or has got the paid service to the AI program that generates artwork for you. So like everybody's been getting screensavers, right? Wait, hold on. Which one is it? Like this? This is one of them. Right? If I brought that stuff up, like it doesn't happen too often, but like if if we had like another philosophical conversation, but it originated like from the clan conversation, would that be something y'all would want to hear? I haven't really talked about stuff like that, but to be honest, that's more of like what we talk about like socially, because we're a social clan, right? It's not always about hitting big numbers around here. But just let me know in the comment section. I'm not trying to bring that in or like I don't know what what is it like a become like a variety streamer or whatever the hell it is, or variety YouTuber. But it's just like if that stuff comes up, would you guys want to hear that? Let me know. But anyway, this video has gotten way too long. The Mighty Kraken build. Y'all have a blessed day, and thank you for hanging out.